Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I've actually found this testimony very enlightening. It's part of that whole process of really diving in deep as what the tax code is really about, because it is deep. And if you do make changes in one area, it impacts quite a few different areas in other sections of the code. And again, this is not about doing tax reform for tax reform's sake. This is about finding real solutions for a broken tax code. I mean, everyone acknowledges the tax code is broken, and we need a tax code that helps America compete and win, that grows the economy, that grows jobs. And we need a tax code that is a lot simpler and fair, so just an average family can actually do their own taxes. I find it astonishing that still 9 out of 10 American families are either required to pay someone else to do their taxes or purchase some sort of commercial software in order to do those taxes. And that's just not a tax code that's designed for the average person, obviously, in terms of simplicity. That's a tax code that's designed for accountants and lawyers and others. And there's a lot of inefficiency, and it really is time for us. And we're doing the right thing in terms of having 20-plus hearings, laying the groundwork, moving forward with these working groups to making sure that it's not going to be a continued process of just special interests and handouts and bailouts, but really getting into the minutia. But I want to dive into something a little bit more on the low-income tax credit, because this is an area where I've spent some time with some folks in Minnesota. I've seen the homes that the low-income income tax credit has actually produced through rehabilitation and low-income individuals. And I do hear from the providers all the time that this is a credit that is a very effective way of producing affordable housing and in providing homes for those who need it. And so knowing that that's the case, and part of the problem in the past has been a wonder, is this tax provision going to get extended? Is it going to be extended once again? So there's no certainty, there's no predictability for building the housing. And so that's one of the goals of tax reform, is to remove that, make sure we have some predictability and certainty. But just to follow up, what would happen if that tax credit just went away? Would making that tax credit permanent improve results, or whatever takes its place improve results? And is there a way we can actually improve that credit for better results? Again, it's been a public-private partnership, but Mr. Swaygle, you've talked a little bit about that in your testimony, and I know this is a long section of the tax code, but can you just maybe elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. I think the permanence would be really important, that to get at this uncertainty. The other thing that would help is that the value of the tax credit varies with the economic cycle and the demand for it. And so there's a sense in which it's just not clear that the tax code is the best way to do this. If we want more supply of affordable housing units, which I think as a nation we do, it's probably better done as spending and not to run it through the tax code. So that's the other thing that might be considered. And again, it's not an argument to say do less of it. It's really do it better. But I think there is so my testimony questions its effectiveness, and it's that, is it effective, and what's the best way to make it effective? Because we want to do both supply and demand, not supply or demand. The vouchers will help on the demand side, and I think the affordable housing tax credit, or a better way of doing it, can help on the supply side.